The government says no classified information was released. The computer raiders say they were inspired by the movie War Games. Now, does all this mean we have a major security problem on our hands? Well, an expert talks about computer raids, and that's next.
Military communications and command and control systems that were portrayed in the movie War Games simply are not penetrable by a microcomputer.
Wow. We're in. It thinks I'm Falcon.
Shall we play a game?
Let's play global thermonuclear war.
Fine.
All right.
Sure, it may make for great movies, but as we told you earlier, fact came a little too close to fiction in Milwaukee recently. Some whiz kids actually managed to dial their way into a computer at a nuclear weapons lab in Los Alamos, New Mexico. The lab says no classified information was compromised, but the question remains, could it really happen? With us in Washington, Robert Edwards, a computer expert who's worked with the military and with computer systems like the one in the movie War Games. Welcome, Mr. Edwards, to Nightwatch.
Thanks, Felicia. That specific scenario, I think, is extremely improbable.
Why is that?
Well, there are some very technical reasons, but I think the bottom line is really the fact that the military communications and command and control systems that were portrayed in the movie War Games simply are not penetrable by a microcomputer. They're set up in such a manner that they are dedicated to the kinds of functions that they are performing, particularly the ones there at Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado.
So what you're saying is they are geared up to expect people to try to get into them.
They're designed in such a manner that they are, in essence, closed systems. People simply can't get into them because they are physically designed not to be gotten into.
Now,
and
come on, if people design the system, then people can get into the system. Isn't that the bottom line?
That's true. Certainly any system designed by man can be penetrated by man, but again, we're talking about the specific scenario in the War Games movie.
What do you think the people in Milwaukee did to get into the nuclear weapons computer system?
Well, it's highly probable that they did something that again, we in the business call permutation programming or password decomposition, which is a very arcane way of saying that they just simply got the computer, their computer, to peck away at the security system of the computer that they were going after until it was able to gain access.
That's basically the system they used in War Games.
That's exactly what they did in War Games, right? That's exactly what they did.
They kind of backed into the system. They said, well, we think maybe this may be the key to the lock, and let's try this one, and let's try this one, and let's try this one. Just playing, just fooling around.
That's exactly what permutation programming is, except you're letting the computer do that, and it does it very, very quickly. It can execute an awful lot of attempts in a very, very short period of time.
You have a computer there. Can you show us what they might have been doing? And while you're doing that, can you tell us some of the other methods that people might use to get into a system, other than actually having a keyboard at home and pecking away?
Well, in this particular case, I have a microcomputer. This particular one happens to be a televideo, but it's fairly typical of the kind of microcomputers that you buy, the IBM personal computer and that sort of thing. What this particular system is currently set up to do right now is it has what is known as an auto dial capability. And I've gotten it set up now so that what I have to do is simply key in the word dial. I key in a telephone number. The system now, through what is known as a smart modem, actually dials a telephone number for me. I don't physically have to dial anything. Now, what this is doing is most systems, and the one that we're dealing with, I think, at Los Alamos is an example of that, are what are called dial-up networks, and it's exactly that. You can literally dial up the computer from your telephone. And that's what this computer has done right now. It has dialed up another computer, and it's talking to it, or it is capable of talking to it. Now, what happens then is, once the computer has been dialed up, what you do is you simply execute a very simple program that says, for instance, if the password system in that particular computer is a 5-digit password, or let's say more commonly, it's a 9-digit password and it's your Social Security number. What you do is simply tell your computer, run down all of the combinations of 9-digit numbers until you get access to the machine.
Well, thank you, Mr. Edwards, for being with us this morning on Night Watch and talking about computer safety. Robert Edwards.